long for the ringing in their ears to die down. And, of course, the man inside the car has finally stopped screaming. 10 minutes earlier, dragging him towards the Jag, the younger of the two men had needed to slap the poor bugger a few times to keep him quiet. As soon as he'd been bundled into the passenger seat, though, there was no shutting him up. Not when he'd seen the handcuffs come out and the petrol can that had been taken from the boot. Not once he'd realised what they were going to do. "I didn't think he'd make such a racket," the older man said. "They always make a racket," the younger man sniffed and smiled. "You're not normally around for this bit, are you?" "Not if I can help it." The older man shoved his hands deep into the pockets of his Barber jacket, looked up at the trees crowding in on the small clearing. The light was already starting to go and the temperature was dropping fast. The younger man grinned. "Don't worry. It'll warm up in a minute." He opened the back door of the Jag and started sloshing petrol around. The man who was handcuffed to the steering wheel threw himself back and forth in the front seat, the cuffs rattling against the walnut steering wheel and the spittle flying onto the dash and windscreen. He started shouting, begging the man with the petrol can to stop. He told him he had a family, told him their names. He said, "You don't need to do this," then, "For Christ's sake," and "Please." The older man winced like he had a bad headache and told his colleague to close the door, shut the bloody noise out a bit. The younger man did as he was told, tossed the empty petrol can back in the boot, then walked across and offered his employer a cigarette. It was refused, but he still took out a Zippo and lit one of his own. "Happy?" The man in the Barber nodded. "Just needed to get the details right. The clothes, you know? Jewelry, all that." The younger man nodded towards the car. "Shame about your watch." The older man glanced down at the outline of a wristwatch, pale against a Barbados tan. "It's all just stuff, isn't it?" He shrugged. "Watches, cars, what have you. Means nothing at the end of the day. Living is what counts, right?" The younger man drew smoke deep into his lungs, then hissed it away between his teeth. He took 2 more fast drags, then flicked the nub end into the trees, said, "Shall I get this done, then?" He took out the lighter again and a rag from the other pocket, which he twisted between his fingers as he walked back to the car. The man inside the Jag was crying now and banging his head against the side window. His voice was rasping and ragged and only audible for as long as it took to open the door, fire up the lighter, and toss the burning rag onto the back seat. No more than a few seconds, but it was easy enough to make out what was being said. Those names again. His wife and son. Said for nobody's benefit but his own this time, and he repeated them, eyes closed, until the smoke stopped them in his throat. The 2 men moved back towards the trees and watched the fire take hold from a safe distance. Within 90 seconds, the windows had blown and the figure in the front seat was no more than a black shape. "Where are you going to go?" The older man nudged the tip of his shoe through the mulch. "Now, why would you think you need to know that?" "Just asking, is all." "Yeah, well, just think about the worthless crap you'll be spending your money on." "Your money, you mean?" "Right. Can't be too many like this, can there? How many times you been paid twice for one job?" "Never had a job anything like this one." That was when the petrol tank caught and went up. Half a minute later, they turn and walk back to where the second car is parked, away from the sounds that had begun to roll and echo around the clearing after those few dead seconds. The wind and the leaves and the creak of branches, the crackle and hiss as flames devour flesh and leather. 100 yards or so from the main road, the older man stops and looks up. "Listen." "What?"